My journey started in 2012 and taken a number of opportunities and positions through the people and development and HR space.
Laura, one of the things that we've discussed on and off over the years is the demands that the environment we work in produces around the topic of leadership development. And I'm really asking you this question from the perspective that you have as a people and development director. In particular, you often get asked by colleagues to advise on leadership development, and it's a changing world. So what are your views on the demands for leadership development in the mid-2020s, as indeed they are changing? What do you see as being those demands just now?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think I don't want to evoke memories of 2020 and COVID, but I very much think that brought a new dimension to leadership. And I think from my point of view, and going forward, we can always prepare for next week, next year, and here and now. And it's really about that unpredictability. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, a huge part of leadership development going forward is about that agile and adaptability approach. That's so important, not just from a leader point of view, but then how you inspire and bring your teams on the journey.
Yeah, agility is something that we look at a lot in our programs, and adaptability alongside of it, because I think it's quite easy, especially in big businesses, and you're in a big business, for people to get, if not stuck in one area, they forget to cross the divides with their consideration and perhaps involvement with other colleagues. So we try to get people to be broadly aware as well as agile of their leadership responsibilities. And I think there have been things that have been impacting on that recently. Technology is changing, of course, with impact of artificial intelligence. But we are seeing, I think, especially post-COVID, quite a lot of change in the way people communicate with each other. And I think it falls to leaders to be up to that and with it, and to keep up to scratch with it. You've got a business that's spread all over the UK and Ireland. How about the leadership around collaboration and the wide word communication that you see? Do you see that changing at the moment, and how do people shape up against that?
Yeah, I think interesting. So Kaefer, we are an organisation spread across the UK and Ireland, very diverse business. I think part of creating, when you talk about the collaboration, is that cross-functional teams. Well, I think one of the, from my point as a people and development director, often we look at in terms of the leadership development, I see it so much more as that collective responsibility. So how are we creating teams within teams, and how are we cross functions and looking through that? So the opportunity from a leadership development fund is how are we creating cohorts of future leaders that can help each other and really break down those silos.
Yeah, that touches a chord with the experiences that we went through with some of you people 2 or 3 years ago. So as you well remember, in 2021 into 2022, we had a group of people going through what was branded internally within your business as the Kaefer Leadership Programme. And that was an adaptation of the Actif4 Leadership Programme, designed to suit your business and your circumstances, while also supplying your people with an accredited leadership qualification. I know that one of the big things that we were stressing in that adaptation was across the business collaboration, and getting these 10 people to work in teams and maybe focus on the same types of project at the same time. I'm not trying to answer your question, that's how I observed it. What I'm interested to know about is, what was the impact of that? Maybe especially looking back a couple of years, some of that impact should remain, maybe it doesn't. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I guess 2021-22 is when we had the leadership programme. The other dimension was we were a year and a bit into 2 organisations coming into one. So really important, not just from that leadership development and creating more opportunities for individuals, but exactly that, bringing people together. We are a couple of years post that now, and I think from what I understand, we've created and broke down those silos. People are and different experiences. So we have different business units, industrial, defence, energy, and nuclear. And we ensured that not only did we have individuals from those business units on that course, but also from a business function as well. So everybody's different perspectives were listened to, and they could understand and ultimately support each other in that journey.
Yeah, support each other within that journey. It's a big part of leadership, isn't it? And it's one of the things that we analyse people around is their behavioural style. And supporting is one of the 4 behavioural styles that is profiled very early on in our programme, along with one that you mentioned earlier on, adaptation and conserving. And those have to mix carefully together. And what we're feeling as the years go by is that people are very much more aware around the word supporting. That's something that is very much against the idea of people working in silos. The problem is that while people think it's a good thing to support each other, sometimes their habits hold them back. So what we're trying to do is get people to get into a world where they develop their habits and see them through, perhaps especially in the cross the piece collaboration world, where you maybe want to do it, but day to day you get pulled back into the demands of the site that you're on and the client that you're working for. And it's a continuous challenge to get people into the mindset of not just leading themselves to support each other, but empowering their colleagues to support each other as well. Very important in a people-intensive business like yours with 3,000 people or so. Is it improving this cross-business collaboration piece, irrespective of leadership development? Or do you find that at the moment this is a struggle that just never seems to go away? I find it's a struggle that a lot of businesses struggle to deal with. What's your take on it?
I think it's a really interesting one. So I think, particularly, I don't think it will be just to Kaefer, but the operational demands. You sit within your box of where it's comfortable, so you know that you can deliver X, Y, and Z. But actually, the real difficulty is to go, right, I need to create a headspace to think about a longer term, and also rather than that stepping in and I can do that, is exactly that, empowering people to maybe think a bit differently, do it differently, giving the time and space for your team to do it as well. We're a very fast-paced business, and I think it's certainly improving in our organisation, where we've moved from that small to medium to large organisation, and with that we've evolved in terms of our mindset that things can't just happen straight away. It's a little bit more, we've got a little bit more time and space, but there's always going to be that challenge, the client demands, customer demands, and also everybody sitting in a comfort zone, including myself, that the feeling of pride of just getting things done.
Yes. There's a great deal of pride comes from the achievement of getting things done. I know what you mean. And I think what we try to get to with our delegates in our programme is not just getting things done, but getting things done together. There's this sense that the hero member of the team has to do it all. We're trying to make sure that's not the case, that people realise we succeed together where at all possible. And the pride that comes from teams achieving things together, I guess that's what we're aiming for a lot of the time. Now, you mentioned headspace and the trouble with creating it. How do you create headspace yourself? You're a senior leader in a business with a wide range of responsibility. Give some of the viewers of this sort of video a bit of an idea as to how on earth you do that.
Oh, I fail miserably, terribly. So I am quite an organised character. So I think for me, it comes into creating headspace in terms of routines. So I think for me, where you can and where possible in a reactive business, sometimes, or even in a forward-looking business, it's making sure you schedule that time But in that time, for me, I have to have a little bit of deliverables. Otherwise, I might procrastinate and do other things as well. So I think the art of discipline is really important.
Well, thank you. That seems a good blend to me. Moving the conversation on a little bit back to the leadership program that you brought Actif4 in to help you with, the Kaefer Leadership Programme. You decided to go with a bespoke approach. You could have taken something that was just, for want of a better phrase, off the shelf. You chose not to. You wanted it to be more specific to Kaefer. Why did you decide to go for a bespoke programme?
Yeah, I think it goes back to we had two organisations coming together and really creating that sense of one team. We had our values that really underpinned everything, and that was really important to us, and something that we worked together in making sure it underpins the leadership programme.
Yeah.
And I think that really came through the development action plans. Was we had a complement of the modules and values that then allowed us to kind of combine and create that togetherness.
I think you mentioned values there, and that was one of the distinct modules that we developed for, in this case, Kaefer values. I'm a strong advocate of any company's candidates on a course like ours being very aware of the company's values and bringing them to life through what they do. I think the power of you asking us to make it a module, a formal module within the Kaefer Leadership Programme, is that we brought an element of real expectation to people on a leadership programme that this isn't really just a nice to have, this is a necessary. If you're going to fit in your business, there's an expectation on you as a leader to embody and embrace these values as part of your day-to-day working life. And I think that worked very well on your programme because it was something that we could use the official stamp of approval with. So my reflection on it is it's a very good thing to have an element of values built into any programme. And it was certainly one of the biggest parts of how we adapted our programme for you. And I think it works as a result because people take it more seriously, which surely is what values would be about. Values in action as opposed to values on the wall. When it comes to leading the values more broadly, what kind of challenges do you see beneath the leadership level in your business? You take it very seriously, values. I think you're very good at it. But what are the main challenges you have to deal with to get people to embrace values beyond just leadership level?
Yeah, I think, well, in any values, and Kaefer, we've just reshaped our values. So we've now relaunched 2 weeks ago new values of reliability, ambition, team spirit, and respect. So not too dissimilar from our previous, really looking to move forward and modernise slightly with them. But with anything, whether they're reshaped and built into leadership programs, people, processes, and the way that we do things, it's very much hearts, minds, and culture.
Yeah.
And that takes time. It takes time to embed it, and really through relatability and storytelling is that really important. So that was why it was really important to put it through to the development program, the leadership development program. So then our leaders can start to tell those stories and then start to pass it on down to their teams and so forth. So it, for me, values are just who we are, and it takes time, as I said, to embed that.
Yeah, and surely you're right with the idea that the storytelling aspect brings it alive, and we witnessed plenty of stories emerging from your colleagues, the people that we work with. The next stage with all of that is to bring them to a level where it's a culture of storytelling. And that obviously is something that you would want to spread across various levels of the business. Get people sharing the stories of values in action and calling each other out when the values are not in action and the stories really do become rich. So, well, I think that's just about it. I just wanted to ask you one more question, and I should ask you this because you chose to engage the services of Actif4 to bring this leadership programme to you. Why, on reflection, did you bring in Actif4? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess from my point, we had worked previously with yourselves. We needed a trusted partner to make sure that when, I said, we brought two businesses together, that we were making sure that this was right. It was the first time that we were doing a leadership program, but really, what was the big part for me was that we could co-create this as well. So we had that Kaefer leadership program provided by Actif4. So it was that bespoke program that was really that competitive advantage we thought was.
Well, thank you. And I must echo that, in that it was actually great fun putting it together, because that's what we did. I remember it coming back and forward in rough draft form and gradually getting a little bit stronger. And that was around collaboration. It was collaboration in action. It's actually good fun to listen carefully to what your customer's looking for, and then look at your own material and think, well, how do I shape that? It's not always fun, but it was fun in your situation. And I think that's because there was an element of openness on both sides of the equation, supplier and client. And I commend you for that. It was a privilege to be part of what was very much a collaborative thing. Thank you very much. Any questions for me? I keep asking you questions.
No, Ian, very much appreciate it. As I said, it's been a few years now since we've done the development programme. Something that we need to continue to do as an expectation to our colleagues as we grow and evolve as a business. So, I think it's the start of the journey, and thank you so much.
You're very welcome.